I'm assuming it's sharing. I don't see anyone else anymore.
Yes, it's sharing.
Okay.
Thank you, Mia.
So, hello, everyone. My name is Mia. So just a little bit about me, not to take up too much time, but I was a transfer student, a parenting transfer student, transfer from SMC. If there's any SMC folks out there, woo-woo. Um, and so when I came in, the resources for student parents was very limited. It was kind of just beginning. I feel like the campus was starting to recognize that, this is a place for us. And so they have definitely evolved. And I feel so fortunate and honored to now be in the position to run the program that supports student parents. And so I hope that as you all hear all the resources, you see that this is a space for us. Many of the CCCP in general, special place in my heart. I worked with CCCP when I was a student. And so you all are in really good hands. So the Students with Dependence program. So before I really get into the program specifically, I wanted to talk about the Brewing Resource Center. And I apologize because for some reason, oh, there it goes. So the Brewing Resource Center is a center on campus, and we specialize in programs for students with dependence, current and former foster youth, students in recovery, which is another program that I run, transfer students, undocumented students, and then students that are impacted by the criminal justice system. So as we all know that even though we're student parents, many cases we intersect with other identities. So if these are some additional identities that you intersect with, I highly suggest checking out the Brewing Resource Center because it's a great space for support for these other identities. So the students with dependence. And so what you see is just sort of a visual of some of the things that we did in person. But it's a program for undergraduate, graduate students, professional students. How we classify students with dependence, there's students that are parents, grandparents, caregivers, guardians, kinship. So if you or anyone else you may know identifies with any of those categories, we consider them a student with dependent. So some of the programs and services that we offer. So one of the, I think the highlights of what we offer is sort of like partnering with you on your journey through navigating higher education. And so when it comes to being a student parent, especially at an institution like UCLA that's super large, sometimes it's like, where is everything? Like, I know there's these resources, but where are they? So you have people like me and my colleague, Zuleika specifically, who's here to help you navigate. So when it comes to financial aid, family housing, childcare, all those different resources, accessing those, you have us here to help walk alongside you and assist you with that. For some of you that may be on CalWorks or GAIN, or maybe considering CalWorks or GAIN, we're here to help sign off on paperwork or any documentation that you need to prove your student status. If you need assistance with WIC or Medi-Cal, our office is where you can come to. And we partner with other offices as well to refer you. As far as access to relevant information, we have newsletters that we put out for students, and that's just a place where you can get kind of all the information that's going on campus. We try to consolidate it into a newsletter. We don't spam you. I'm really big on spamming. So it's something that you'll probably get like, every now and then, but when you get it, you better look out because it's like all the good stuff. And then social media. Social media is where you'll see our events. We try to highlight student parents. We also have a lot of scholarships, job opportunities, just everything is on our social media. So if you're not following our social media, you're already behind. You need to get on social media and see what we're doing. And then we have referral to campus and campus resources. So we have lactation stations. So some of you that may be pregnant or have really young children and you're still breastfeeding, there's lactation spaces on campus and we can show you how to access them. And we've been in talks about like bringing in a doula, and we got some cool stuff planned. So follow our social media. We have Little Brewing Clubhouse, which is an opportunity. It's sort of a drop-off center for you to come in. And if you're on campus and you need some hours to study and, you may just, you don't want to do that with a crying baby or a young child running around, this is a space where you can drop your kid off for a couple of hours for free. And then we have Little Brewing Wishes, where we offer this past Christmas, we offer gift cards to all of our students and their children. So really great opportunities here. The biggest takeaway is just stay connected with our social media. Zuleika and I and the team, we really try to get the information out there. So I can't highlight enough. Follow us on social media. And so I'm very visual. So I'm saying all this stuff, but I think that it's helpful to see like just some of the things that take place within our program. So we have our virtual hangout that we've done workshops. One of the highlights of our program is our parenting graduation. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we haven't been able to have it. It hasn't looked like it's looked in the past, but we're hoping in the future to bring it back in some capacity. But this is an opportunity when you graduate, you get to walk across the stage with your kids, and they get to wear a little graduation outfit. It was a highlight of my experience. After you've done all this has been your partner through it all. And so you both get to walk across the stage and have your family cheer you on. And so it's really great. We've done things like virtual play. We've had dance parties. This is an example of Little Brewing Wishes, where we gave out the gift cards. And then some other ways that we've partnered or just highlighting some of the other things that have gone on campus. Shadera talked about CPO and some of the great things that they're doing there. We also have partnered with early childhood education on kindergarten preparedness. And then recreation is another office that has some pretty amazing things for student parents and families when it comes to things like summer camp and winter camp and spring camp. And that's actually where our Little Brewing Wishes is housed. So really great things happening on campus. When I was a student, as I mentioned, all this wasn't happening. So to be able to be in a position to say, like, we got it going on, like as you can tell, I'm super proud. And so this is the contact information for me and Zuleika. And so if you want to meet with us, chat with us, if you have any questions, the social media that I keep pushing on you all, that information is a little bit lower. So I just highly suggest that you check it out. So another area that I've been tasked to chat with you all about is the Transfer Center. I don't know how I'm doing on time. Don't want to take up all the time, but I thought this was also important to talk about was the Transfer Center, being that, we're all transfers. I wanted to just make sure that we represented, and the director couldn't make it today, but she thought it was also very important that you all know that Transfer Center, the Transfer Student Center, is a space for everyone. And the mission of the Transfer Center is that it's providing a welcoming community and acknowledging the lived experiences of all transfer students. So that's student parents, that's veterans, that's students in recovery, all of the lived experiences of transfer students. That this is a space, and they provide exceptional programming. And so they also have social media, and they're also hiring. So they wanted me to make sure I got that word out there. So this is their social media handles, UCLA Transfers on Instagram. You can just do UCLA Transfer Students, and you could join a group that's actually really live. They have a really active group. If you all have like questions and you need quick answers, I highly suggest, I'm on there learning stuff. So join the Transfer Students group. And then they have their Facebook page. And so two of the things that they really wanted to make sure that I highlighted was that they have a mentor program. And for their mentor program, they really try to partner incoming transfer students that are student parents with current transfer students that are student parents. And then they also have the Transfer Transitions program. So yeah, that's all I got. And so if you have any additional questions, feel free. I'm going to put my email in the chat, and I'm pretty sure Zuleika will do the same.
Thank you so much, Mia. And yes, after this, we're going to have time for some questions and answers. Thank you so much for all of that, Mia. All of these services are what has helped so many of us, me particularly, and the CPO office and the services there and everything have made these last 3 years a lot easier. So next I'm gonna introduce Zuleika. She's gonna be talking about the parenting scholars. So if you wanna go ahead, Zuleika.
Hi, everyone, again. Happy to be here and share space with everyone. I'm gonna share my screen really quick. Can everybody see this? Okay, perfect. So we just recently changed our name to Parenting Scholars at UCLA because we believe that, I mean, we're students, but I feel like we're all like scholars is just a lot more affirming to who we are as an identity. And this is just going to be really quick on like history and advocacy and what we do, right, as a student org, because we are a student organization that focuses on advocacy, but also building community among parenting students. So the agenda is going to be really quick. We're going to go through a mission statement, who we are, history, advocacy, some of the programming that we've done in collaboration with departments on campus, and then some of the modes of communication that you can communicate with us. So the mission statement for parenting students at UCLA is that we're committed to increasing student access to and awareness of campus resources, which is why we work so closely with the Students with Dependents program. We work with UCLA Recreation, with Residential Live, with CPO. So we do our best to try to connect with these resources, to connect the students to the resources. The group also promotes campus and community engagement that enriches and supports students' academic and professional goals. And we do this through programming. So who are we? PSUCLA is a student organization that is registered. You don't really need to know this, but this means that we qualify for funding that requires an application process. Basically, because we qualify for funding, we're able to use that funding for specific programming. If we want to go on trips, we've done that before, right? If we wanted to attend a summit, we attended a parenting student summit where we were able to take, I believe, 5 students to the summit so that we can connect with other universities across the country on what was going on with parenting students in higher education. So we have that ability to do that. And again, we partner with departments in case we need extra resources while we're on that trip. So the history, so PSUCLA was created out of need. As Shadira mentioned, a lot of the resources on campus were not there until students spoke up. And so a lot of the resources that we have are because students got together and they spoke up for these resources. And we're grateful for those students for speaking up, because if they didn't, we wouldn't have what we have today, right? And so the reason why we came together was to share these resources and build community of support. And within the first year, PSUCLA and a group of students from different communities came together to advocate for the creation of the Brewing Resource Center, which houses different programs such as the Students with Dependents program. And so just some of the advocacy work that we've done throughout the years. Sorry. I don't know what's going on. Okay, so some of the advocacy work that we've done throughout the years. So today what we are is we are an advocacy focused on building partnerships among student-led organizations and committees on campus, as well as family housing. We're slowly growing in family housing. And so what we've done is we've advocated to identify student parents on the UC application. This actually just happened about 2 years ago. So before this, we were not able to identify any undergraduate parenting students, but now we can. We advocated for childcare costs as a basic need UC system-wide, with our basic needs department here at UCLA supporting this. We advocated for priority enrollment for parenting students. So we now have priority enrollment starting fall 2021 or winter 2021, I believe. So this is a huge win for us across the UC. We advocated for increase of cost of attendance for financial aid budget increase. We advocated for Family Resource Center. We're still doing that. We're still advocating for that at the moment. And we also advocated for a syllabi change to include parenting student resources. And we're currently advocating for a cancel rent protest in family housing. And we've actually partnered with other UCs in this. But yeah, we're also part of the Students with Dependents Task Force. And then some of the programming that you heard Mia talk about, we do the parenting student graduation. A lot of the funds that go into that come from PSUCLA. We, as you heard me mention, the National Parent Student Support Symposium, we've done that, and we are hoping to do that again next year, hopefully. And then we've done some collaborations, right? So we did some grad cap decorations mixers, student parenting mixers, study hall nights, clothing swaps, and we partnered with Residential Life and Family Housing. We've done diaper giveaways, and we participated in multiple panel discussions. And here's the modes of communication. So if you wish to communicate with us, here's our Instagram handle. Our Facebook group, if you want to join the group, it's Parenting Scholars at UCLA, and then our email. And that is it for me. Thank you. Nancy, you're muted.
Yes, I am muted. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Suleika. Right now, I'm going to pass it on to Alicia, and she's going to go ahead and moderate the Q&A for this panel.
Hi, everybody. Hi again. And I just want to extend my thank you to everybody here. Every single resource and person that is here, basically representing all these resources have been fundamental to my trajectory as a student at UCLA. Like, I would have not been able to do anything without the assistance of every single resource that is available here. So I just want to express that gratitude and thank you for being here today. One of the first questions was like, what are the benefits of being enrolled in these resources? But I think that you all really touched on all of that. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into the second one. Are there any specific deadlines that students should be aware of when applying to resources or for any resources that may be available?
I think the biggest thing that I would say is once you see it, apply. Students tend to say, you know, I'm going to get to it, but then they end up missing the due date or something, but things happen. But if you don't make the due date, also reach out and don't just assume like I missed it. Don't have a defeatist attitude. There sometimes is wiggle room. I know for us and the services that we provide, sometimes people don't even show up. We'll offer things for free. People don't show up, which is like, what is it, half the battle? And then we're stuck with this item that this person had already vouched for. So we integrated in our system once we tell you your times, and then we allocate an extra 30 minutes where we alert folks across either depending on where we're at, we'll alert you saying, hey, come through, there's extra meals. It's gonna require you to do a little bit of work because we need to know who you are and if we can contact you in the future, but there are resources always available. And I think the biggest thing that we were told is once you miss the deadline, that's it. But one thing that we believe in, and I believe all of us, and I can speak for all of us, is closed mouths don't get fed. So if you don't advocate for yourself, we can't support you.
What comes to mind for me, I'm thinking about housing. So starting that process early enough. And if you don't hear anything, making sure that you're constantly communicating. And then I'm also thinking about childcare. So beginning to think about where you want your child, because it may be a waiting list, there may be some additional documentation that's needing, or you may just want options. So I would just say start that research now to just begin to think about what will be the best fit for your child.
And for admissions, there is a deadline for the UC application. So keep that in mind, November 1st to November 30th. It's coming up way faster than we all think. So that is the UC application deadline. But also I want to re-emphasize that you have resources, that you're not on this process alone. So this is the time for you to really build those connections, to ask questions. I can share that myself as a first generation college student. I had no idea what I was doing when I was applying to UCLA. And I didn't know that I could contact someone. I didn't know that I could, email someone, that I could meet with someone. And I want you to know that information. We're here for you. We have so many resources. And I think we're all very passionate about this work. And we literally want to make sure that you are well informed, that you are getting all of those admission questions or any question in general. If we can connect you with someone, we're going to do it. So I think that's what I want to emphasize today. Join our virtual events because we have, so many different events coming up. Join them, come and meet people, come and ask questions. So that is what I want to emphasize today. There is no deadline for that. You can be connected and informed all year long. So definitely, stay in contact with us.
And just to go off of that, I think everyone said it very well. Just stay in communication. Stay in communication because we're constantly posting. And as soon as you see those posts, as Shadira said, apply. As soon as you get your approval, not your approval, but that you've been accepted to UCLA, apply for housing, apply for childcare, do those things now. And if you have any questions, reach out to us. That's what we're here for.
Alicia, I also want to add, because I really have taken advantage of like the summer camps, the spring break camps, the winter camps, like for my son. We've gotten scholarships, and I also want to emphasize that there's deadlines for those too. And sometimes you have to do it like months before, but it's so worth it, and it's paperwork and it's work too, but they're completely worth it. My son loves them, and we really appreciate them.
Thank you for all of this insight. And I think the common theme that we can see that was communicated from all of you was communication. So having open communication. And with that being said, how can students maximize their engagement with your office or resource? What are your recommendations?
I think I've said it like a million times, but like social media, that's like, especially I think during this climate of not being able to just, when we're back in person, like you can just stop by the office, like there'll always be someone there. But with us being at home, I think social media is probably the top way because we try to put everything on there. But then we have newsletters as well as our own emails, reaching out to us through email.
I think Mia said it perfectly. I don't know what more we could add.
Oh, use the resources, please. If we send you information, please utilize those resources.
Yeah.
Also, like, sorry.
I'm sorry. You can go. I'll chime in after.
Thank you. I think another thing is you're going to get email overload, which is okay. Just make sure you spend some time reading them. So like for our office, you might not get an email directly from me, but you'll get it through like financial aid or DRC or this person or that person. But like, I think the biggest thing, like I had mentioned before, is people do not apply. And the fact, like, it's here. It's like this concept of you can lead the horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. And I think all of us feel that way when it comes to specific groups that we do work with or do panels like this for. We want you all to utilize our services. We create some of these programs more specifically for you. But then I think for me more specifically, like I have to support the entire campus, but I am intentional with the way we do things. I.e. even coming on this panel because parenting students are important to me. A lot of my friends, when I was a transfer student at UCLA, were parenting students. I spent a good chunk of my time at University Apartment South, kicking it, partying, among other stuff. So it's near and dear to my heart. But once again, I know that things happen because I've seen it firsthand. But if you can't go in through the app, it doesn't hurt to ask. If we can't support you, I'll put you on something else to make sure you get that support you need to help you during that time. So.
And for our office.
Go ahead. Sorry, I think we just really have to deprogram ourselves and telling ourselves no, let someone else tell you no. So I'll stop it there.
You said it perfectly. But just to reemphasize for us as well, we do have those admission representatives. So I want you to know if your California Community College has someone listed on our website. I sent the link again, contact us, even if you just want to say hi. Like literally send us an email, ask for any events, any questions, anything at all. We're here to help you. Also, social media is such an important outlet. I think every single office here has a social media account. We have different takeovers. We promote like our different events through there. So really make sure that you're staying connected as well. I will send the UCLA undergraduate admission one right now on the chat as well. But I think everyone is saying it perfectly here. We have contact information, we have resources online, we have events coming up. So just, make sure that you're present, that you're active, and that you're just asking any question at all that you might have.
I cannot stress enough, like everything that they said to all these students, even because you are all still at the community college, it is so important to read emails and to follow up with those emails because this past quarter, I got an email from students with dependents for a scholarship. And the scholarship was literally, it was 250 characters, not words, 250 characters. And I got the scholarship, you know, it's $2,500 in my account. So I can't express, I know that we're busy, but it's like, y'all got to get your money, like, and get that money, like, make sure to take that money off of the table, like Rebecca said earlier. So I just wanted to echo that for all of the students here. And with this, we can segue into, are these programs typically open access? Do all students typically qualify for the resources available in your programs?
Yes. So we're nodding like, yeah. Yeah. I think some programs, of course, like, it's contingent on your status. However, for the most part, there is not something that we turn people away for, I would say. And if, for example, like if Mia can't do something, I'll work with her to get it done for the student. Or if I can't do something, I'll work with Mia to get it done. Like, we have those cross-departmental ways of connecting to ensure that no student goes without. And then there's a plethora, let's just say there's a plethora of resources. And if one person can't do it, another person will help figure it out. And yeah, I hope that like answers that question.
I think so. I do think it's also definitely important for students to hear this, because a lot of times we kind of like you said, we kind of tell ourselves no before we get the response from everybody else. And it's so easy to feel defeated before receiving responses. I know that was my case coming in, like dealing with all the imposter syndrome and things like that, and feeling like there was going to be limitations to every program, or possibly not. But UCLA has a very holistic approach, as she has just said. You know, if one office can't do it, the other one will do it for you. Where there's a will, there is a way. So I think that is the motto amongst these resources. And
can I just add something?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that if there is a gap in resource that you notice or something, that's what, you know, the PSUCLA, that's what student organizations are also known for, to speak up on those. And departments are really open to hearing about what, you know, what you're going through and how they can support, and how that specific resource may be created can serve many students, right? So it's also important to know that you have a voice, speak up, right? If you see a gap in resources.
And also to add to that, sometimes you might see a gap in resources, but there's also a lot of stuff happening from the staff end that it depends, like depending on what your need is, it's unique. However, you might not see it, but come with a little bit of, I guess you could say, patience, because we are doing a lot. Like, not only am I working with other UCs and supporting students, but I also work with community colleges, different boards, among other things, to ensure that there is no gap. And also coming from my perspective, as well as the folks that I worked with, like the transfer students now, when compared to when me and Mia were there, is day and night. Like, so just know that if you might not see it, yes, we'll work with you. I said that earlier in the presentation, so they could just reemphasize it. But we might have something for you if you meet with us, or if you reach out to us and ask that question directly. And then sometimes we do things and it doesn't work on our campus because students say that doesn't help me. And we're like, okay, we want to be cutting edge. We want to always be on top of things. So we'll work with you. I think even I know Nancy could even see, because we changed things so quickly. Like if it needed to be, when she was a basic needs coordinator, working with me. So.
And also, you have the power. So if you don't see a club, you don't see a resource, your voice is so important. You have amazing staff that are representing these resources, but just know that also you have that power on campus. You can start those clubs, you can start those organizations, you can submit those proposals, you can go to those conferences. So definitely, I also want you to know that your voice is going to be such a powerful tool of change on our campus, because we also learn from what our students need. So also something like, you know, if you get there, you're like, why isn't this here? Maybe we haven't thought about that yet. Maybe we needed you to come to UCLA to open our eyes and to let us know this is what our students need. So definitely come prepared, come and bring your voice as well, because that is such a valuable tool that we need to hear from you as well.
100%. I did that as an undergrad. I helped put transfers on the map. I helped create a lot of centers, a lot of organizations. Putting Black transfers wasn't a thing when I was a transfer, just making sure that there was no gap in whatever could be possible. And then I was fortunate to be in the position I am today based off of the legacy and the work that I did as an undergrad. And I'm grateful that the work that I did as a student, now I'm able to see it as a staffer and I'm able to help support it to the best of my abilities. But I'm talking from years ago compared to you who are coming in. And I think also the fact that you have people who are transfers talking to you shows like, yo, this is serious. Like, we're not coming here to play games. We want you all to know, like, you can do everything. You can graduate from here. You could go get your master's. You can go get your PhD. And here's everything you can also tap into to support you through all that. So, yeah, I'm going to stop talking.
You guys are amazing. I can't stress that enough. And all that you do, all the advocacy, and just the fact that you are the pioneers that have kind of paved the way for the rest of us. Like, as you said, like, and highlighted, transfers from them is like day to night. And I totally see those differences when I speak on the experiences with my mentors and my mentors. So thank you again. Lastly, I'll end it off with this question. Are there any limitations students should be aware of when applying to these programs? And that could be in reference to their children's age, their term, their units, whether there might be caps, anything that might be specific that might limit a student's access to any type of resource.
Not filling out a complete application. That's what I experienced. Folks will, Nancy's laughing, but legit, folks won't give us their name or their phone number or their email. So I can't help you if I don't know who you are. And we do a lot of research in making sure that we make things as concise as possible, but there's certain things that we do have to hit in order to be able to provide you with those resources. So if you could do me a solid and fill out a complete application and tell us what's really going on, because we're not just looking at it for that specific program that we're offering to you. We're also going to plug you into housing. We're also going to plug you in with media. We're going to also plug you into all these different things happening if you tell us what's actually going on. So I'll say that for myself. And there's no other limitations or really restrictions. I told you our food closet, you walk in, you grab what you need, and you don't have to talk to me as a start. And then there's other things that go with that, depending on what your need is. So
I would say not applying. So it can be from the admission standpoint to any of the resources here. Literally not applying is a limitation, right? If you don't submit that application, if you don't submit it by November 1st through November 30th, then you won't apply. So definitely don't limit yourself. Take a chance, take those challenges. Sometimes things seem like, I won't get there, I won't do that, but just know that you have resources. As you can see here today, we're all here advocating for you. We want to see you on campus. We want to see you get here, but we also want you to see you graduate successfully. We want you to not struggle. Some of us, maybe struggled throughout the process. Maybe there was things that we wanted to see different. And I think now we're here to hopefully, bridge that gap. So you can be on the other side and you can have an enjoyable experience, and then you can get the resources that you need. But don't limit yourself. Apply to UCLA, apply to the resources that are being offered to you, apply to those scholarships. Even if it takes you maybe a little bit extra time to submit that, the resources that you're going to gain from that are going to be so needed for you and your success. So don't limit yourself. Apply to these different things.
Just echoing what everyone said, for our program, it's really not an application for like all of the resources outside of like scholarships. Most of it is just if you qualify, if you consider yourself a student with dependent, then you qualify. The only time that I can see there being a limitation is if there's a specific resource, let's say for a graduate student, because we do service undergraduate and graduate students. So with that, I would just say, as you apply for things, definitely apply broadly, but then also make sure you read the language. So if it says it's for graduate students only, you can apply, but you may not be qualified for it. So just make sure that as you apply for things that you're just reading the language.
I was going to say that too, Mia. It's like, make sure that you read the language to know what you can qualify for. But I do want to talk about the parenting grant, because if you have a child who is over the age of 18 and they're still living with you, you do not qualify for the parenting grant. They have to be under the age of 18. And I learned that from having parenting student friends who had older children and weren't aware, because it was just called a parenting grant and they weren't aware that there's a cutoff for that. So just be aware of that as well. The Little Bruins Clubhouse, there's also a cutoff. Your child has to be between 4 to 14 years old, or diaper graduates to 14 years old. There's a lot of things that I'm pretty sure many of you are aware of because you are parents, like county programs, that there are certain limitations like CalFresh and things. So just make sure that you're reading the qualifications. And if you have questions, then, call our offices, call the county program offices, like just make sure that you're well informed about what you qualify or do not qualify for. And in terms of housing, I don't really see any things that wouldn't qualify you for housing, but for early care and education program, the cutoff is 5 years old. So if your child is older than 5 years old, you would not be able to have them in the early care and education program. But we are a resource, the Students with Dependents program, and we can refer you to other programs or for local, schools in the area that you would qualify for.
I think you all hit very important points, and thank you so much again. That was my last question. I wanted to thank all of you for your time today and for, doing all that you do and all the advocacy that you guys continuously do. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're here for you.
Follow us on social media, everybody. Follow us. We all said it like 6 times. Follow us on social media. This is the best way to connect. Email us and don't be shy. Like, even if you're like, I don't know about UCLA because I don't feel like UCLA is for me, reach out. Let's tell you from our experiences. Let's connect you with someone that literally that's a carbon copy of you. So let us know what we can do to support you and also help you make this amazing decision as UCLA. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you to our panel. I am so grateful to have you all, and to just know that UCLA is filled with amazing people that care for parenting students and that have incorporated our needs and what it is that we need to succeed here at the school. Not only you wanting to go UCLA, but once you're at UCLA and even beyond, as a lot of our panelists described. So thank you again. A round of applause. Thank you all. All right, so we're gonna keep moving on with our program. We're gonna go ahead and start financial aid. And I know this is something that for parenting students is very important, right? That's on our minds. Like, how am I gonna afford UCLA, or how am I gonna afford my higher education, right? So this is something that we're gonna go ahead and talk a little bit about. And let me go ahead and share my screen. Give me 1 second. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And for our financial aid, yes. Thank you, Zoika. For our financial aid portion, it will be me and Chelly presenting for you all. Again, we are going to have time for questions at the end of our presentation. So definitely think about certain questions, and if we can't answer them, because obviously we're not, super duper experts. I know Chelly knows a lot. I know some stuff because I've been through, the system. But we are also going to provide you with information to the direct financial aid office where you can definitely get more answers, okay? And sorry, the presentation doesn't start at the beginning. Alrighty. So one of the most important things that y'all need to do, and I hope you're already doing it, and if anyone can tell me, what is the one thing that you already should be doing, filing for, in order to get any assistance, if you do qualify regarding financial aid? Yes, Britt, FAFSA, yes. Oh my goodness, yeah. So I hope all of you know about this, about financial aid and how to apply, and also the California Dream Act, for those of are undocumented, that identify as undocumented. Yes, thank you, Charlie. So definitely these are the things that you really do have to get on it. The applications, both applications, so FAFSA and the California Dream Act, open when? Can someone tell me when the applications open? I hope you all know this too. I hope you do, because it's coming up. When does it open? Yes, it closes March 2nd, but when does it open? You have a very long time to file. Yes, Britt. Dang, Britt, you're on fire. Yes, October. So October, it opens up. So you want to get started early. Don't be like me. I used to fill it out like last minute because I was busy, y'all. I was busy. But you have from October all the way to March 2nd to apply for financial aid, either through the FAFSA or to the California Dream Act. Okay. You do need to have your California taxes done in order for you to apply. You do have to make an account, and the information is on the screen. And I'll go ahead and also drop the link on the chat in a little bit. That way you can go visit if you haven't, which I hope you all have. And so this is a critical, important part. And this kind of is like the foundation of everything else we're about to talk about in the next few slides.
And this is the estimated cost of attendance for UCLA. Again, each university that you're interested in, and this is part of the homework that that you should be doing and meeting with advisors on and representatives from the various universities, is looking at their cost of attendance. So for UCLA, you can kind of see what the breakdown is. Housing, I think for this is just consider the off-campus apartments. We will be sharing some info about housing, and you can ask our peer advisors about their housing costs as well. But the most expensive part, as you can tell, is the tuition and fees. Well, the most expensive is room and board, but tuition and fees is the second most expensive part. But just keep in mind that even at your current community college, there is a cost of attendance for that, right? And if you look up cost of attendance for your campus, like for ELAC, I think it's around 7,000. I sometimes ask students, are you paying $7,000 currently to attend your community college, right? And a lot of times the answer is no. In fact, many students qualify for financial aid and then get money to go towards some of those expenses, right? So just kind of keep that in mind as you're considering different institutions, knowing that the cost of attendance and whatever the sticker price is doesn't necessarily mean that that's what you're going to pay out of pocket. And do not let the cost of attendance discourage you from even applying, right? Because a lot of times we hear from students that they are not even considering the UCs, not even considering UCLA, although you might be very, very qualified due to the cost. But at this point, do not let that stop you from submitting your application.
And I wanted to add to that, that when I saw the cost of attendance, when I was thinking of applying to UCLA, I was like, I don't think I could go, like that in itself. But again, like Shelly said, don't let that discourage you, because this is like an estimate. This is not saying this is what it's going to cost. Like a lot of books and supplies is not going to cost that much. There's so many things that are not what it says. It's just an estimate. So just being aware of that and realizing, and with the next slides, you'll kind of change that mentality. And this is why I'm so happy that we have these types of webinars and workshops, because this is the stuff that will prevent you from freaking out and thinking that you can't apply, because there's other things that can supplement what's on here and that will help you pay for it. So I just wanted to add that and kind of emphasize that. Don't get scared. I know it's scary. Those numbers are scary, but there's so much help. So wanted to add that.
And the UCs also have something called the Blue and Gold Opportunity Plan. And so this is system-wide. So any UC campus or all the UC campuses that you're considering, the Blue and Gold Opportunity Plan applies. So for the Blue and Gold, in order to qualify, again, you have to submit your financial aid application by March 2nd, which is the priority deadline. That's why it's super critical that it's submitted by then. And so what the Blue and Gold does is that if your total family income is less than $80,000 a year and you qualify for financial aid, your fees and tuition will be covered by free money, right? So those $13,000 from the previous slide that covers tuition, that will be covered by free money. And so you can all take a deep breath, because at least that part, there'll be funding for that. If your income is above that, and I think between under 150K, there is a middle class scholarship where you can qualify for, I think it's up to like a quarter, like 25% of tuition funding. But again, there's other opportunities, there's other ways to pay for college. Blue and Gold covers tuition. However, if you qualify for financial aid, most students do qualify for additional funding that can also contribute towards the additional costs that are part of the cost of attendance.
And one important thing I really do want you all to know about is work study and the jobs that you can get at on campus. And I was lucky enough to do work study at my community college and at UCLA when I transferred on over. And this is something that, again, starts with those two important applications that we talked about in the beginning, that you want to check off, yes, you're interested in work study. And this is actual money from the federal government that they pay you to work at a job on campus. So that can be working in CCP, for example, as a peer advisor. You're working through work study, you're getting a check. And of course, there is a limitation with the hours that you're allotted to work. So I believe it's under 19 hours that you could work on campus. So that is a limitation. And I know I saw in the comments earlier throughout the day that, some students have to work. And yes, I understand, because even with financial aid and with the help, there's other things that we got to pay, right? We got to pay our phone bills and the gas and I don't know, just life, So yes, I encourage you to apply for work study. Even if you're not considering it, please mark it on your financial aid application for that year, because that way you have the ability to apply for work study. And again, there's an eligibility that you have to go through, and I do have it on the screen. So just make sure that you either take a screenshot or look at it. A couple of things: you have to complete the FAFSA or the California GMAT. The EFC must be below 12,000, so the estimated family contribution for you to apply. Be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident, so there's a caveat there. Identified as eligible for graduate work study, so that's, in order for you to qualify. And then the rest of the stuff that is nitty gritty, but take a screenshot. And also, again, I have all these websites saved on the PowerPoint, so I'll go ahead and post them all up, but there's websites full of this information that you can look over already. And if you haven't taken advantage of this at your community college, I suggest that you do now, because this is more money for you that can help you pay for your expenses. I know I use work study, and I'm pretty sure a lot of us here have used work study. I'm not sure if anyone has anything more to say regarding work study and how that helps. But I know many of us have used it.
What I will add is this is a federal program. So if you don't qualify for federal financial aid and you submit like the California DREAM Act application, at the UCs, there is a work study that's through the Office of the President. So it's called like President's Work Study. So if you aren't documented and don't qualify for federal aid, you can still be eligible for a work study type program. The funding just comes from the state.
Thank you, Chelly. All right, and some scholarships. So a lot of what we've heard throughout the entire day was that people have applied to scholarships. And these vary. scholarships is free money that you do not have to pay back. This is money that is given either to you directly, or it goes through financial aid to your tuition. But there are different ways of getting scholarships. There are a couple of scholarships that you get when you apply to UCLA, so you really don't have to do anything else but apply to the UC. And if you get accepted, there's certain merit scholarships that you automatically get, and those are listed on the top right hand corner. But then there's the outside scholarships that you want to apply to. And I know that we had a presentation not so long ago where the presenter from financial aid here at UCLA was saying, like, go to your bathroom, look at your shampoo bottle, and they probably offer a scholarship. And it's true. She was saying, like, one of her friends like applied for some like frozen food like brand that they were offering a scholarship, and they got it. So I would suggest that you do that. But not only that, there are some liable resources here on the screen that you can go to and apply for scholarships. And a reminder, applying for scholarships doesn't require you to pay money, y'all. So if it's asking you, well, you have to pay $100 to get these scholarships, lies. That's not true. Do not do it. It's not legit, because they shouldn't be charging you to apply for a scholarship. So these here on the board, I got them straight from the UCLA website. These are actual real places where you can get scholarships. So the UCLA Scholarships Research Center, Best Colleges, College Board. FastWeb is a very popular one. It's one that I've used in the past. Peterson Scholarship Search. So please take a screenshot. These are actual scholarships, places that you can go and research scholarships. And many of them, like, they're super easy. Like, it'll be like record a video and doing something that you love. And it's like, that's a submission. Or like, I think Alicia said 200 characters. And that's a submission for another scholarship. So a lot of the scholarships don't really require you to write like page long like answers. Some are just quick questions. Some they're a little bit more, intense. Like, they want you to write like a 5-page paper on like, why do you want to be in sociology or whatnot. But again, that's not that bad, y'all. You should already be writing that type of stuff anyways, for either when you go to your graduate work, or just because pretty soon you're going to be writing personal insight questions. It gives you a draft, if anything, to help you later on. But again, free money, y'all. Please don't let go of this free money. It's everywhere, literally everywhere. And I know Chelly just added some more information on the chat. So just make sure that you read through that.
Yeah, I was just gonna add, reach out to like your writing centers. I know at UCLA we have a whole office just focused on scholarship. So once you are admitted to UCLA and are attending UCLA, you can make an appointment and they'll support you in like identifying specific scholarships for you. Also check with your local campuses. The community colleges, like every semester, there's scholarships from like your ASU or your student government, your alumni. There's so many efforts to fund students. So please keep trying, and also reach out and get support with like your response, your essays, your feedback, just to help you have a more competitive application for that scholarship.
Thank you, Charlie.
And then also for UCLA, and again, we'll share all of this, and we'll make sure that all these links are also on that Google website that we have for parenting, so that you can refer back to that page and have everything that we covered. But UCLA Financial Aid does have a Q&A option on their website. So you can live chat with someone from financial aid. We also invite our financial aid partners. I know, unfortunately, they weren't able to join us today, but we will be inviting them for our programming during the academic year. And they're always really helpful in answering questions from prospective students, so that all of your concerns and all the questions that you have regarding funding, they're able to answer those and really give you that information. The other thing I will recommend that you do is that you currently, meet with someone from your financial aid office on your campus. So it's super important that as transfer students, particularly if you've been at the community college for a number of years and you've been utilizing financial aid, to kind of just check what the status and how much financial aid you've utilized, because there are some limitations for some of the funding. And so you want to make sure that, you know, you're setting yourself up and that you're able to get the most amount of funding once you do transfer to the UCs. And again, the information we're presenting today is mostly about UCLA and about the UCs, but I also want to encourage you all to pursue and ask about private schools, right? Private schools don't have the same limitations that maybe our public institutions have in terms of funding students. So yes, their cost of attendance and their sticker price is, you know, can be a lot more. However, they may be able to give you additional funding, right? They may be able to give you a full ride. So at this point, the advice that I would give you is do not let the money scare you or deter you from pursuing education, from pursuing some of these other campuses. Once you apply and once you get admitted and you have all your letters, you'll get financial aid offers, and we'll go into that in a second about what those look like. And then you get to decide what's best for you. You get to decide what the best deal is, what makes more sense for you financially. But there are resources, there are support, there are things that you need to do on your end. And if you do have any questions, just make sure that you're reaching out and that you're asking and that you're advocating for yourself. The other thing I'm going to add is that you can always appeal your financial aid offer. You can always make an appointment and appeal some of that. We all know that 2020 was extremely difficult and our communities were hit really hard in a number of different ways, you know, economically being one of them. So if your financial aid situation has changed from what was reported on FAFSA and what was reported on that year, 2 years ago, tax info that you submitted, please make sure that you advocate for yourself, that you submit an appeal for your financial aid award package to be reevaluated and reassessed so that you can get the adequate funding that you currently need.
Definitely. And just piggyback off what Charlie said, a couple of things. Just like you see on the screen how UCLA has, like, you know, contact us, all the other universities and Cal States and privates have the same thing. You don't necessarily have to be accepted or, you know, be at the campus to get this information. You can be a prospective student already inquiring about what it is that they're offering, what do they have. So another homework assignment can be, yeah, if you're interested in attending a Cal State, well, then go visit their website and start looking at all their pages, start looking at their financial aid page, call them. Nowhere does it say that you cannot call them and just get information. That way it can be more of a settle, like, okay, don't panic, like you got this regarding money. Because I know that's, for me as a parenting student, that was like the main thing. The main concern was like, well, how on earth am I going to pay for this and then pay for all the stuff my daughter needs? And like, where am I going to live? Like, there's so many things that go in our head that we do it to ourselves. Really, we do, because the answer is just go to the website and start talking to the people that know. And then that way they can kind of get you out of this dark hole that we can probably get ourselves into. And trust me, I've been in that dark hole many times, of like, can I do this? Will they take my kid? Or they give me more money for my kid? Another thing that happened too regarding, and I know Zuleika mentioned regarding the parenting grant, when I attended UCLA, they didn't give it to me. And my daughter was 2 years old, so she did qualify. So guess who went? Not with an attitude. I was nice. Because another parenting student told me like, hey, did you get your parenting award? I'm like, what is that? They're like, well, you get a parenting grant because you're a parent. And I'm like, I did not get that. So I went to the financial aid office and I'll be like, hey, y'all, I need my money. I have a child. So again, advocating for yourself. And yes, the best people that give you the best advice are your fellow students. Another student told me, which I did not know, that you can also get another like small like loan for a computer. So if you don't have a laptop, guess what? they can, you have to see how much you have left on like your financial aid and stuff. But that's how I got my laptop. I did not have a computer either. And I was freaking out because how was I going to do all my assignments and stuff? So that helped me get a laptop. So again, it was through word of mouth that someone told me, because they didn't tell me that from financial aid. They didn't say like, hey, you can actually ask for a little bit more money to help you with the laptop. No one told me that. It was a student who had gone through the process. So this is why we're here, because now y'all know. So if you get accepted, you get yours. Exactly what Rebecca said. I'm serious. This is facts. Like, get what's yours. It's out there. We just gotta like fight for it and ask for it. And if you don't see it on your award letter, and right now you'll see what we're talking about, like go and ask, because it's just asking. Okay. So a little bit on that.
One thing I also wanted to mention real quick was regarding scholarships. So sometimes a lot of these scholar or organizations don't explicitly say that it's for community college students or for things like that. So I would encourage you to just call and ask, because a lot of times they say, oh, it's for like freshmen or for students enrolled at a university. And sometimes community college students are like, well, is that me? Is that not me? Like, do I qualify? Do I not? Again, part of, institutions not really being transfer receptive or transfer mindful of the pathway that community college students take. So reach out and ask, because a lot of times they just didn't include that language, or it wasn't brought to their attention that they're leaving out a community of students, right? So just always ask. And most times they say, oh, yes, you can apply. Don't worry about it.
Awesome. Thank you, Charlie. And with that, we've been talking about these award letters and how much money each one of us gets and all this good stuff. And I want to give it up to Zuleika and Nancy, who are going to kind of guide us and host us through some of the award letters that we've received, either from the beginning of when we got into UCLA and at the end, because it can change. It's not the same amount of money that can be received. So I'll give it up to Zuleika and Nancy.
Hi, everyone. I can go ahead and start. I wanted to share my financial aid letters or awards. It has been a struggle. I had never used financial aid before I got to UCLA. I always paid for my classes, even though I look back and I'm like, I could have, asked for financial aid. But I just want to point out that there are here on the bottom, let me see, on the bottom right was the first financial aid, at least for this last academic year, which doesn't reflect everything that I received on the top one, which was my final awards letter, which includes a lot more grants, a lot more emergency grants that were granted to us because of COVID. And then on this other side, on the bottom right, I just wanted to show how that we don't always have to accept the initial offer. If you can see that the initial offer, and then there's like, I don't know, it goes up to like 9 or 10 offers, because I've petitioned, I've appealed, I've asked for more money, increase of rent, increase of childcare. There's just, and I didn't know any of this when I first transferred. When I first transferred, I didn't qualify for a lot of this. I had to appeal, and it was a lot of work that I had to put in. But it was all worth it, because I wouldn't have got all of this unless I would have asked. And even when you do say, hey, I'm a parenting student, and you provide the evidence or the paperwork that they require, you still have to stay on top of them. And, if you don't see something happening or changing in a few weeks, you call financial aid again. At that time, I would always show up and say, hey, hasn't, just to check up, because lots of times like we're like, yes, you qualify for the parenting grant, but they would forget to add it. And then, 6 months passed by the first year I was here, and I was like, oh, I trusted them, but I never got it. But then you do get it back for the quarters that you didn't get it. And I also want to mention too that right now, because of when I applied to the graduate programs, all of a sudden I got scared again. I didn't know what that would look like for a graduate student. I was, especially for Cal State, I panicked. I felt like I was a newly transferred student that didn't know what was going on. I had to remember like, oh, okay, I have to advocate for myself. I sat down and I started calling all the financial aid offices for the different Cal states just to get an estimate, just to like talk to someone, because now it's, another language for financial aid, for graduate loans, for graduate grants, because there is some still. So I just want to advise that it is a good thing to call them. And they've all been very nice and very welcoming. And even at the Cal State ones, they were very attentive and very, the lines were a lot shorter than they were here at UCLA. So I just want to pass it on to Zuleika.
I know I have mine, but I'll put it to Zuleika's and then I can go after.
Okay. Yeah, so just literally just like Perla said, I also was not aware of the parenting grant until another student told me. And so I also went to financial aid and I'm like, I need my money. And you do have to show verification, right? Like your child's birth certificate, but it's completely worth it. So if you look at the bottom right, you can kind of see there's a lot of, it's very blurry, but if you see all the yellow little marks on the side, I did not accept that because it had a lot of loans on it. But if you look at the top, the larger one, it says accepted. I accepted those because after multiple offers, I was able to get rid of those loans because of grants, of scholarships that I actually qualified for because of the UC application. So if you look on the main one where it says Edith McGovern Memorial Fund, that was because of my major, because I was a political science major and I applied through the UC application and they found a scholarship that I actually qualified for given I believe it was my GPA. So that was a merit scholarship that I qualified for, but was not in my initial offer. I believe I went through 9 offers before my final and you'll go through that. But it does take a lot of calling, emailing, and when you do, and just like Nancy said, sometimes they will forget to give me the parent award as well. And so I would have to call in again, remind them, and just make sure that they have that on there. And again, if you do not agree with your financial aid award, you do not have to accept it, right? Which is why I denied the first couple of offers. And a lot of the times you have to explain to them your situation, right? Well, I'm a parenting student. I have an underage child. And a lot of the times they will find grants, specifically from Cal grants. We recently just got a Cal grant for parenting students, and that was added on, I believe, to our 2019-2020 award. So make sure that you're aware of what grants are being offered specifically for parenting students, and for your major as well, because a lot of the times financial aid is dealing with a lot of students and a lot of us fall through those cracks. And so just giving them a little reminder of, what you do, what your major is, who you are, what do you identify with. A lot of the times they will put in effort to find grants or scholarships that you do qualify for. So just, I don't know how many times we reiterate this, but use your voice, speak up, be your own advocate, and don't be afraid, right, to say no. Because if you do not agree with loans, if you do not agree with some of these things, do not accept it. I did have some loans in my initial one, which were replaced with grants. And so that is a possibility. So even if you do apply for a loan, I know one time I accepted a loan because I didn't think I qualified for more grants or scholarships. They actually sent me another offer and they reversed my loan into a grant. So a lot of times they will also contact you and find resources for you as well.
Thank you, Zuleika. And mine's gonna be a little different because I actually did take loans. And this was, for many reasons. Housing in itself is a whole monster in the summertime. So that in itself helped me. So as you can see, I'm putting my last offer in the top, and then, my last offer at the bottom and my first initial offer at the top. And again, you can see at the bottom where they offered me a private loan and I declined it. I'm like, no. but again, it's different. They also kind of give, well, the money for the UC ship, that's the university insurance that you also, because you need to be insured when you're at the UC. And just in general, I want to say, even at the Cal States, because even at my private institution at USC, I had to show proof of my insurance. So again, very similar to the rest of my peers, but again, I did take loans. And that was just to help me with that summer housing portion of my living at university housing. And again, that was just me. I knew loans were coming, and I'm okay with that, because I'm okay with that. I am gonna have to repay that, but I was fine with that. With that, I knew what I was signing myself up to, into. So this is again a little bit similar to what you saw with Zuleika and Nancy, but again, I did accept a couple of loans to help me out with just my money situation. I think we have Alicia's as well. Yes.
Hi, everybody. So I will explain to you mine. I went through 13 offers. So I went through 13 different offers. Mine's a little bit more complicated though, because I am also a Mcnair Research Fellow. So that's also another opportunity to keep in mind, that we can kind of dissect as you go along with CCCP, but research is a very big funding opportunity for students, specifically for parenting students. With Mcnair, I receive a $15,000, upwards to a $15,000 stipend for the 2 years that I participate in research at UCLA. So I'm very privileged in that. And with that being said, when I first got accepted to UCLA, they were offering me like nearly $10,500 in loans. And I was like, there's no way. Like, there's just no way. I cannot do loans. And I ended up working it all the way down to $500 in loans. But yeah, that was also with the help of Mcnair and with a lot of other emergency funding that became readily available to us for the pandemic. So I just actually got my new offer today for the fall, and they're offering me, I think, like $2,000 or $3,000 in loans. So again, the process starts all over, where I'm going to have to fight that number down. And they're also not accounting my stipend for my research. So it's also it gets very complicated, because you have to also get budget increases, because there becomes a problem when financially it can be real tricky. And what happens is that let's say your budget is at this, like your expenses is at this, like they have you capped at a certain amount. What they start doing is, like, let's say I'm waiting for my Mcnair money and I'm here thinking like, oh, I'm going to get this $2,000 for the quarter. What they end up doing is that they see that the Mcnair money is coming, and because my budget is capped, they will replace another grant with my Mcnair money that's coming in. So we don't want that. Like, I want all the money. Like, so you have to be in constant communication with financial aid. You have to fill out budget increase forms. You have to constantly be working at it, because there's no way that I'm not going to let you give me my $2,000 and replace it with another $2,000 that I should have been getting in the first place. So the money is there. And I used to be a parent who worked full-time. Like, I had a full-time 9-to-5 before higher education and things like that. And I decided to stop working, and it became accessible for me to stop working through financial aid and through the grants that became available. So for those parents that are kind of wondering, like, oh my God, how am I going to do it? Like, how am I going to be able to juggle work and school? When I have zero EFC, like my family income contribution is zero, because I am a single parent household and I have 2 children. So there is a way to not have to work full time and sacrifice all that time that should be allotted to your children and your studies while you do your 4-year education. So it's just some food for thought. It's a lot of self-advocacy though. And it's very difficult for us as minoritized people, because we've kind of always been shrugged into this corner. Like, we've always been kind of shrugged into submission, but we do not continue that way. The only way that we get out of that corner is if we start advocating for ourselves and for what we deserve. And as parenting students, what our children deserve, because we deserve stability and we deserve to have this education, we deserve this access. So I hope that this kind of encourages you and kind of put some hope. Like, I have $40,177, and that is all, grants. I have a full ride. And you guys will be able to do this too. I'm sitting in my UCLA apartment. They pay my rent, you know, y'all are going to have access to this too. And that's what we're here for. We're here to help you navigate this hidden curriculum, because that's exactly what it is. So.
Thank you so much, Elisa. I did want you to kind of follow up on, maybe a lot of our students don't know what Mcnair is.
Yeah.
So we can kind of explain to that, because maybe that's something that they've never heard of and that can potentially they can apply for.
Yeah, so Mcnair, Ronald E. Mcnair. Ronald E. Mcnair was an astronaut, a Black astronaut, an amazing one, who unfortunately passed in the Challenger space shuttle. It was a very big tragedy, but in his name, his family created the Ronald E. Mcnair Scholars Program, which is a research program that is available at CSUs and also available at UCs. The reason that it's very pushed at UCs is because UCs are research-based institutions. Like UCLA is an R1 institution. So if you want to do research and you come to UCLA, you're at the right place. Like UCLA offers the Mcnair Scholars Program, which is a 2-year program. It's not only a research program, but it's a grad prep program. So right now they're currently not only preparing me on my research, it is also preparing me for my graduation applications for my career past undergrad. And they do that by providing mentorship. Right now, currently I'm doing Summer Research Institute. I've been very busy. I've been presenting my research at conferences. I did my first conference like a few weeks ago, and my research won first place. So it's been amazing. Like being in Mcnair, I never thought that I would do research, you know, like I never thought I would graduate high school, let alone be doing research at UCLA that won first prize, you know, and that's what the program does for you. It's a 2-year intensive program that's going to prepare you with your research. It's going to prepare you for your written statement for your graduation applications, you know, for PhD applications. And these programs like CCCP is like, you know, this is the first time you might be hearing about it, but you're going to hear about it with the more time that you spend in programs like this. And if you do decide to transfer, there's a program called TSP. TSP is something that is open to students during the summer. It's the transfer summer program. And during that time, you're going to take an honors collegium course if you decide to do it. And that honors collegium course is going to groom you for the application. And that application is going to be for whether it be Mcnair or the other research programs, because there is a plethora of them when you come to UCLA. The only reason that I'm so heavy on Mcnair is because it is the biggest stipend. It is one of the biggest stipends that is available. So I see Mcnair as my job. That's $15,000, you know, that is literally my part-time job. Like I'm doing my research and I'm working at the same time to provide rent, to provide utilities, to provide food on the table, you know, and I think UCLA Mcnair is actually the best funded Mcnair program in the nation. From my understanding, we have one of the biggest stipends that is readily available. So research is a huge consideration for all of you as parenting students who may consider taking a break from work. And with Mcnair, not only are you going to get the stipend, but you're going to have the access to working on your academic work, working on your research, working on things that are going to help elevate you on your grad applications after undergrad. So I don't know if anyone has any other questions. Like, I know it's a lot to take in, but
a follow-up to that, Elisa, when did you apply to Mcnair? Did you apply as soon as you found out you got into UCLA, or were you already a student?
So I was a student. The Mcnair application opens in the fall. And I applied in the fall. I believe the deadline for the application was November 15th. The application consists of you have to get faculty, and it's very difficult for transfer students to obtain faculty advisement because we're new to the institute. Like we have like not even a whole quarter to find a faculty, for them to get to know us. And for me, it was very complicated because we were online. So I was like, how am I going to connect with faculty that they don't even know me, you know? It's like, it was a very difficult process. And it was also a very emotional process because I suffered from a lot of imposter syndrome during that time. I was kind of questioning and doubting myself, like whether I was deserving of it, or if I wasn't, or whether I was going to be selected or whether I wasn't. And you have to get 3 letters of recommendation. I got 3 letters of recommendation from 2 community college professors and 1 from my previous employment, which was in the city of Burbank. And I was able to secure a faculty mentor who aligns really great with my research. And he also was my professor for TSP. So for the transfer summer program, he was the lead professor for the Chicano cohort. And I applied. In the winter, I was called for an interview. And after the interview, they informed me that I received that I was accepted into the program. And it's been a really full circle moment. Like, I'm still dealing with a lot of imposter syndrome. It never ends, you know. For TSP, I know somebody just asked about when should we join TSP if we plan to transfer fall 2022. So when, let's say you are accepted to UCLA, within like maybe a week or so or 2 weeks, you're going to receive notice that the transfer summer programs have opened, and there's going to be an application, and there's going to be like, I think maybe 5 different cohorts. It's going to be psychology, biochem, Chicano studies, English, history, like a few like subtopics, and you're going to select from that. And from that you apply, and more than likely you will be accepted to TSP. It's a very strenuous program. It's a very hard program, but that's a bridge you'll cross when you get there. And again, we're here to help you. Like, I'm gonna do TSP. I'm gonna be a peer learning facilitator for this incoming TSP class for the Chicano cohort. So again, really full circle moments happening here because I was just in TSP last year. But yeah, it's a lot. I feel like I just like, you know, threw a bunch of information on you guys and you're like, what the hell? But it's very full circle. And for us as transfer students and as parenting students, it's really important to give back, you know. I've been empowered by so many of the women that are here on this panel, and empowered women empower women. So or empowered people empower people. So I think that's what's most important. I'm gonna go ahead and drop my email in here. Feel free to message me, feel free to email me. Like, I am here to help you guys with whatever questions you may have. So I hope that everything that I said was able to help you guys in any way, and that it wasn't like I was rambling, because I feel like I'm rambling right now.
You're not rambling, and you just let a lot of people know about certain things that they would have not learned about possibly ever. So you already kind of planted seeds, Alicia. So thank you, because that's what we wanted, was to plant these seeds about all this, where they can get money, where they can get research opportunities from already from the get-go, so they can start preparing themselves. So thank you, Alicia. Thank you, Zuleika and Nancy, for sharing your award letters. And that way our audience can see what it is that is expected of them. So a round of applause. Thank you. And I did want to kind of go back on the presentation and use our voices, those of us that lived on campus, to kind of talk about housing. So we do have a bit of time before Nikki from the Early Child Education Center comes and speaks to us. So I did want to cover this really quickly. Housing, which I know we've been throwing out throughout the whole presentation about some of us living in housing and not dorms. It's not a dorm, it's actual apartment, like an apartment. I know, I was shocked too, because I thought me and my daughter were going to share bunk beds, but we share bunk beds now. It wasn't in school. So yes, it's an actual apartment, and I was blown away because it is University Village, where either you live on one side or the other. And trust me, I was so confused when they were trying to explain it to me. But yes, there's two separate living areas, and they're literally being cut across by the freeway. So the freeway is right in between of both of the villages. You have Sawtelle side and you have Sepulveda side. And it is, if you take public transportation, and I used to take public transportation my first year at UCLA, it did take me to 25 to 30 minutes to get to campus because I had to take the bus. And that, y'all know what it is. You gotta wake up early. My pobre daughter, wake her up early because I had to drop her off super early at, the Child Development Center, and then go away, run sometimes because the bus would come earlier than it said. And then go to campus. But if you're driving, it might take a little bit long too, just because Wilshire is super packed. But there is family housing, and it ranges from one bedroom to 3 bedrooms. I think is the biggest one. I want to say is a 3-bedroom apartment. And yes, you do have to apply. I want to say, I don't recall if I applied right when they accepted me. I think it is. I think you apply or after I SIR'd. I can't remember, but if any of my girls want to back me up on when we apply, it is soon, like literally when you apply, when you get accepted. So I'll leave it to, I know Zuleika lives on campus. I know Alicia and Nancy. If y'all want to talk a little bit about your experience in housing and how that works for you, the hardships of housing, the easy stuff that comes with living on campus, and we can share our stories.
I can go first. You know, for the family housing, I applied the same night that I SIR'd, because I was part of the first parenting site. That's the only reason I knew about housing. They had a tour for us where we actually came to the apartments, and I remember Perla and everyone in Dean had apartments, and we got to actually be here. And because of that, I knew to apply right away. I knew what to expect. You know, you kind of have to be ready for it, because you sign up and you really don't know what side you'll live in, what your address will be. You can let them know when you want to come. I wanted to come as soon as I could because I needed to leave where I was at. So you have to be ready for like a $500 deposit when they do tell you or send you an offer. You only have a few days. After that, once you do put in your deposit, it's another like waiting game of like where will you live, and it's kind of strange and it feels weird. It feels like it won't come, but it does. And you know, I've had like a really good experience living here. It's nice. I mean, there's a lot of things that are not the best, but we're really comfortable. My son has made so much friends. I have a community here. I am sad that like Alicia and Zuleika are on the other side. And even though they're so close, it seems like they're so far sometimes. But we have like a really good community. It's closed. There's washing machines here. I asked for 2 bedrooms because the 1 bedroom and the 2 bedroom, at least at the time when I came in, was only like $100 something difference. So I wanted my son to have his own room. What else? There's AC that works really good here. There's a lot of community events here. I mean, we've had a really good experience here. I can pass it on to whomever wants to go next.
Yeah, so similar to Nancy, I applied. So as soon as I got my acceptance, I SIR'd as soon as possible, and then I applied for family housing. I think one of the things that you should probably be aware of is that if you are going to do, unfortunately, I was not aware of TSP. I wish I was. But if you are planning on doing TSP, apply as soon as possible and put your move-in date like between June, so that you can start and you can get your financial aid for that summer to do TSP. But I made the mistake of moving in August, which was way before, like 2 months before school started. So I had to grind to pay for rent because financial aid didn't hit my account. So I think it's something to think about, right? Whether you should move in early. What are you going to do during that time if you move in early? Or if you want to move in right when the quarter starts, which is about like the end of September, beginning of October, because that's when you're going to get your financial aid. So yeah, so that was kind of like my experience, is that I moved in a little bit too early with not really anything to do. So I had to pick up jobs just so I can pay for rent. But yeah, it's a nice community. There's 3 floors. I got the 2nd floor, and it's very true that you do not know where you are going to live on either side or which floor until like a couple days before. And then when you do get that letter, you have to pay your deposit. And so that was another thing where I was like, oh, I don't have money for deposit because I wasn't aware when I was going to get my apartment. So again, like I had to like ask for help for paying the deposit. But just being aware of those things, I think, is really important so that you can prepare your move to campus. ECE, so the Early Care and Education Program, is actually on site in the apartment community. It's on the Sepulveda side, which was very awesome because I live on the Sepulveda side, so I can literally just drop off my daughter and then I would take the bus too. And then we get discounts for the bus because we're undergraduate UCLA students. So looking into transportation as well, I think would be really important. I think I saw a question on here about parking spots. Some of us get garages and some of us get parking spots. I believe if you are on the Sawtelle side, it's a mixture of parking spots and garages, right? And then on the Sepulveda side, I think a lot of us just have garages. So it really depends on which side I guess you land on, because I've heard of parenting students who do not get garages and only have a parking spot. So, but yeah, other than that, it's been a really nice community. My daughter has made a lot of friends here as well. And the really cool thing is that every enclosure has a playground. So there's 3 playgrounds on each side. So literally you're close to a playground wherever you're posted on, and you're close to a laundry facility wherever you're posted on as well.
I guess I can go next. So for me, actually, July 15th marks 1 year of me living here at University Village. I moved in during the pandemic, and it was really scary because they were not guaranteeing housing because they didn't know how many apartments they were going to allot because they wanted to keep people spaced out. So I was very afraid initially because I was essentially homeless. Like before I moved here, I was pretty much sleeping on my dad's floor at his apartment. I had just gotten out of an abusive relationship, and it was really scary for me at that time because I was like, am I going to continue having to sleep on my dad's floor with my kids, or am I going to get this apartment with UCLA? Or what's going to happen? I was really scared because the money that UCLA would give me for off-campus housing, if I got an apartment somewhere else, they weren't going to give me that money, so it was a really scary time. But I got the notice literally 4 days before the move-in date. They're like, do you want this apartment? And I'm like, yeah, I want this apartment. So Suleika, I had to also scramble to get that $500. And it was my first time having my own apartment without anybody else, with my name on the lease. It was a very empowering moment, a very empowering moment for me as a single mother, being able to finally give my children a space of their own without the help of anybody else, other than obviously UCLA grants that we work really hard for. But I would say it's been a really positive experience. It's been a little lonely because I moved in during the pandemic, so I've been real scared. Coincidentally, right now, me and my family have COVID. So, but during the beginning stages, I had been really avoidant of doing anything outside or seeing anybody because I was really scared. So I didn't really get to foster community that much. But Suleika literally lives across the way, and I see her and her daughter playing sometimes. I see Nancy at Ross. It's just, there's a really bomb taco spot at the corner of National and Sepulveda. It's so good. The best pastor ever. I lived in the valley, and this is the best pastor, readily available right here at the corner, and they're $1 tacos. So when we're running low on the financial aid money, I'll just take my daughters down the street to buy tacos. And it's been a blessing. I live on the first floor, so I didn't know where they were going to place me, but I'm really happy I live on the first floor. And it's been an awesome experience. Again, it's my first time living independently. It's my first time, doing things for myself without the help of anybody. It was my way of kind of working myself out of an abusive relationship. Being here at family housing has given me so much autonomy and independence over my life that there's no words to literally express it. And coincidentally too, when I did Parenting Sign in 2019, I have a video that I took, and it's me walking through the University Village apartments, and in the video you actually see the corners of my windows where I moved into. And then who would have thought that I would be moving into that specific apartment unit a year later. So bunch of full circles today, but I highly recommend to consider moving into University Village. I'm excited that I live so close to the campus, yet a little far away to avoid the madness of the traditional students, because that gets a little annoying. But yeah, it's been great.
Thank you so much for sharing your stories. And I want to take credit because I remember when I was a peer advisor, I took the other peer advisors to that taco spot. So yes, I showed the way to CCP and the taco spot. So if you know about the taco spot and you're working at CCP, it was because of me. Because I lived in Sepulveda and I knew it was the spot to be at. But anyways, yes, housing is amazing. I was able to live on both sides. Don't ask me how. I started off at Sautel on the first floor. And then literally like 4 months before my graduation, I had to move to the other side to Sepulveda, and I got the third floor. And oh my goodness, to get your groceries up there, it was a miracle. I do wonders now. I learned some skills. But yes, housing is amazing. Again, we're gonna be sharing those links because yes, there is a housing website for UCLA where you can get more information and get you more informed about the requirements and things like that regarding housing. So we'll put that on that live links sheet that we've shared with you all, and it's also on our website. So we'll go ahead and add that. And we have a really important guest who just came in. Her name is Nikki, and we're going to be able to start with, the presentation on something that we all kind of touched upon, which is the Early Child Education Center, which is the University Village Child Care Center. That's what I used to call it. But it is housed in the Sepulveda side. And my daughter was able to attend, and I know a lot of our children were able to attend. So I am going to give it to Zuleika to introduce her. And so she can talk a little bit more about this amazing resource for you all, because I know that childcare is not only is money one of our very much concerns, but it's like, where is my child going to be when I'm at school? And there are some times that we do have to take, because I did see that someone asked if we ever take our children to class. Yes, that happens. I've taken my child, and she taught on snowmen at one of my classes. I've taken my child because either she was sick or she just wanted to be with me. But I have taken her. But this is an amazing resource where my daughter spent many of her days there, and she learned a lot. And I'll go ahead and hand it over to Zuleika to introduce Nikki.
Welcome, everybody. I am honored to welcome Nikki Zomorodi. She is the director of the University Village Center. If you are thinking of having your children in the ECE, you will have a lot of contact with her. So Nikki Zomorodi has been a part of the UCLA Early Care and Education Program, or ECE community, since February 2016. She's been in the ECE field for over 18 years, beginning her career as a floater teacher and working her way up to being a center director. Nikki started her ECE journey at the Samuel Goldwyn Foundation's Children's Center before moving on to other preschools in the West Los Angeles area. She has served on ECE committees for the California Association for the Education of Young Children and Play Matters. She holds a master's degree in human development with an emphasis in early childhood education from Pacific Oaks College, and a bachelor's degree in communication with a minor in sociology from Boston University. So welcome, Nikki.
Thank you, Zuleika. Hi, everyone. I'm Nikki. It's so nice that I got, thanks to Perla. Thank you, Perla, for inviting me. It's very important for me to, provide services for our students with dependents. More than half our program, I would say, is students with dependents. And they are, we do provide tuition free. The state provides the California Department of Education. We have a subsidized tuition for low-income families, mostly students with dependents. All students with dependents. You have to be a full-time registered student to be able to qualify for the program. I know. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about, let me start by reading our mission statement and our philosophy first, and then I'll talk to you about the enrollment process and how it works, because I know a lot of students sometimes are curious. Sometimes your friends get in and you don't, and you wonder, why didn't I get in? I applied before my friend did, but my friend got in before me. So it is a little complex, and I would like to clarify it, and then I'll take questions. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about childcare. I'm going to read it off because I won't do it justice if I just say it. Our mission statement says UCLA Early Care and Education professionals support the goals of the UCLA community by providing developmentally and culturally appropriate education and care that supports the development of children, creates a strong foundation for lifelong learning, and provides support and resources for families as they balance the challenges of work, study, and parenting young children. So just a little focus on that. I'll go a little deeper. We are very relationship-based at the program. If your child is not in between classes, like let's say if they come in as a 3-year-old, they will spend a whole year in one classroom. When they're a cusp, by that I mean if they're 24 months, the spots are more limited because I only have one classroom that is multi-age group, and we only take about 8 24-month-olds. But if they're a little younger, they can go under our toddler license, which goes up to 32 months, but we usually move the kids around 24, 25 months because they do outgrow that classroom. They have younger age children in there. And the reason being, we like children to spend as much time in one classroom as possible because we want you to create trusting relationships with the teachers. We want your child to develop those friendships and trusting relationships with the teachers. That's why we have primary caregivers for each child. That is one teacher that they'll spend having lunch with, they'll do small group activities with, and then you'll have your parent-teacher conferences with. We usually do 2 parent-teacher conferences a year, just so you are abreast of your child's development and growth. I can say that throughout the years, we've helped a lot of children who've had some delays, like for example, speech delay. We've had multiple conversations with parents. And I have to say that our student families, they're really great advocates for their children, because when we do identify the need, we kind of partner up with the parents. I've had really young moms with children that needed the help, they needed the guidance on how to get their child assessed. So we really partner up with them. We help them step by step along the way on what steps to take. And even on several occasions, I have sent our program coordinator with them to either regional or the school district to help them out, to support them in getting the services they need for their child. So this really kind of as a evidence that, that our mission statement says, we really are your partners once you become part of our community of UV. We have a lot of families. I heard a lot that you guys talked about Sepulveda side and Suttle side. I do have families that walk from the Suttle side. I actually go on my daily walks. I do a loop around from Sepulveda just to get a little exercise. So it is manageable. Even if you get an apartment on the Suttle side, you can still put your child in a stroller and walk over to us. It's not a big distance. I would say less than a mile or about a mile and a half to get to us. A lot of our procedures have changed during COVID. We don't allow families to walk into the center anymore. We do virtual tours. So if you're interested in enrolling your child, please give us a call and we're happy to do a virtual tour for you. My advice to you is, fill out the application. It's free. You already know which term you're going to be coming in. So as your proposed date to come into the program, just write whichever semester you're starting. I'm going to talk a little bit about the enrollment process for CDE. That's the subsidized program that we have for our student families. So the way it works is we have so many spots allocated to CDE families, and that the state tells us. So they give us a certain amount of funding for a certain amount of spots. So we have to, for example, I'm going to give you some examples. For example, if we have 19 spots in the infant toddler, under the infant toddler license, 10 of them may be allocated for CDE families, and that's how much funding we get. So we go for filling those 10 spots. And then in the preschool side, since it's bigger, it's 75, more than about half of that goes to preschool children. However, during COVID, our enrollment, we've reduced our enrollment in each classroom. So now instead of 9 infant spots, we have 6 infant spots with the same staffing as before. In the toddler room, we used to have 16 spots, now we have 12. In the multi-age grouping classrooms, which are the preschool classrooms, we could have gone up to 20 to 24 children, but because of ratios, we're keeping it down to 16. So the space of the classroom can provide that 6 feet apart for the children. Currently, the children are all wearing masks inside. We just got guidance that they don't need to wear it outside. These are just some changes. We do the drop off and pick up in front of the door. We've tightened up our sick policy. I know for some students that's kind of tough because when your child gets sick, you'll miss class. Or as Perla said, you may have to take them to class with you. But we do ask for doctor's notes if it's any of the COVID symptoms or for a negative COVID test for a child. So throughout the pandemic, we did have one positive case where a child came into the center with a COVID positive, but we have such protocols in place that only one other child tested positive in the whole classroom. And then we shut down only one classroom for about 10 days. So we were keeping all the cohorts separate. We just recently extended our hours to 5:15. Our normal hours before COVID used to be 7:30 to 6, but currently it's 8 a.m. to 5:15. And the 4:30 to 5:15, when you register and you come in, you have to you have to show needs. So let me start from the beginning as far as how the enrollment starts. You fill out the application. You don't need to pay the application fee. When you're ready, when we have spots available, we do look at CDE parents for families first, and they go with the lowest income. So you have to, that's how the application pool works. So they do look at the income of the family. So let's say you have applied in September and your friend has applied in October, but your friend gets in before you do. That means that they had a lower income than you did. So the second thing we look at is date of application. But the first thing that the enrollment staff looks at is income for CDE families when we have a spot coming up. And then they ask you for certain documents for income. They ask you for your registration for UCLA. And then once you're certified through our enrollment staff, then for a whole year, we don't ask you anything. You're certified for that whole year. Even if you graduate from UCLA, once your recertification date comes, then that's the date of your child's last day. Before, it used to be that when you graduated from UCLA, you could no longer come to UV, but now the state laws have changed. And also another good news is that some of the student families would have a family fee. So the state would pay most of the tuition, but there would, some families, according to their income, would have a monthly family fee. But the state has also waived that family fee for this upcoming year. So everybody can, whoever qualifies to come to UV will be completely free. So it also depends on the age of your child. We have more 3-year-old spots, 3 to 4-year-old spots than we do for the younger age group. And that being because we don't have as many spots. I have 3 preschool classrooms, but I only have 2 classrooms that can accommodate 24-month-olds with a limited number. Let me see what else. But don't, one advice that I have for you is don't give up. Email us, come to the center. There has been so many times that students have called me and I said, you know, let me give you a tour. I keep you under my radar kind of, and you know, when I have a meeting with the enrollment team weekly. We just had a parent who came by the UV entrance and said, you know, we applied like a year ago, we still haven't gotten in. And then I brought their name up with the enrollment team. There was one other person ahead of them, and that parent never got back to us. We sent them an offer, never got back to us. And this particular child was able to get into the program. So please don't give up. Even if you don't get a spot, like let's say when you're hoping to get a spot, there's always hope that you may get it the following month. Enrollment is very unpredictable. And I'll tell you how. I'll tell you a story. My pre-K classroom was full. So I couldn't transition this one child who developmentally was ready for this pre-K classroom, and he had a fall birthday. So I had to call the parent and say that unfortunately the class is full. I don't have space, but in this particular case, we can make an exception because the older sister went to the lab school. I said, maybe you can transfer him to Fernald. So that way it's a easy pickup and drop off. And we were in the midst of it. We even sent them the offer for Fernald, but one of the parents in the pre-K classroom, which we were not expecting to terminate, gave their notice that they were going to terminate. There you go. One spot out of the blue opened up for this child to stay at UV where they wanted to stay. So enrollment, I can tell you, is very unpredictable because, you know, we do send out every March, we send out a letter to all our families asking them if they would predict that they will be staying for the following year or not, because we want to kind of project and see how many spots we have available for our student families and for our regular families to come in. But sometimes, you know, life happens at the last minute. They get jobs out of state and those spots start opening up. So you never know, don't give up. Fill up the application, be in our applicant pool. We always look at the applicant pool and reach out. We call you first to see if you still have interest or if you found other childcare services. And I've also had student families who've put their child in another daycare and they've gotten a call from us and they've, you know, with a 30-day notice, they've come to us. So spaces are available if you have children from anywhere from 2 months old to 5 years old. Any questions? I'm not sure if
Thank you so much, Nikki. You've covered a lot. One question that I do want, you know, to answer is, When should our students apply? As soon as they get accepted to UCLA or as soon as they SIR? That was one of the things I didn't know, and I went through an experience, but again, I didn't give up like Nikki says. I did start school without my JD there being there, but I kept calling them and I kept going, and my daughter soon, you know, got a spot. So yes, listen to her, because yes, keep calling, keep bugging them, because a spot eventually will open. But it would be good to know, and to let them know, when should they apply? Is it when they get the acceptance letter, or when they SIR, or what do you recommend?
What is the SRI?
It's when you actually commit to the institution. So that comes after. So they give you, I want to say like 2 weeks. I want to say that they send you the acceptance letter, and then they give you up to June 1st to
Accept it.
submit that you're gonna attend that institution.
Yeah, I would say as soon as you know that you're gonna attend UCLA, just fill out the application. You know, you can always, if you decide not to, just cancel the application. It's no fee, so there's no harm in applying sooner. But know that they do look at income too, and the families with the lowest income, they go on top of the list, and that's how we choose who gets in the program. And we do have a lot of resources. I mean, I've had student families who've come to me with a multitude of, you know, maybe they were in an abusive relationship, or, you know, I'm there to help. I'm there to make your life quality as much as it's in my power better. You will be part of our community. We really, and we really strive to provide a high quality program. We have a very diverse community. We have students coming to us from all over the world. I remember one year at UV, we had 29 countries represented. Our focus of professional growth for the past 2 years has been EDI. And I have to say, even myself, I have grown so much in the past 2 years, and I've learned so much. I didn't realize that I'm not white, I'm an immigrant, but my skin is white and I'm in position of power. And, you know, without realizing it, while we're studying, you know, you have to really reflect and dig deep. And when you realize that you have brought harm by not knowing, by thinking that you're helping somebody, but not knowing really their needs, and thinking that you're helping them, but instead you're bringing harm, it's very painful. It's a painful process. But as a department, we've gone through it. Sometimes we've had those hard conversations. Sometimes it has been messy, but it's part of the growth, I believe. So now we're very aware. And, you know, we work with each parent to make sure that their needs are met and that we're being equitable towards everyone. And it's still a work in progress. So I am also, all the classrooms have implemented the EDI in their weekly curriculum. Curriculum is my passion. I work with every single classroom every week. They send us their curriculum plan and we give them feedback. And we're the first center out of the 3 centers that on our weekly plan, we make sure that there is something that children are learning about themselves and about justice and about the world around them. So that's another piece about UV.
Thank you, Nikki. And we do have some questions on the chat, and I'll start with the first one. It says, does the ECE help students who are undocumented? So those students that are, you know, either filled out the California DREAM Act, do the subsidized program help them with the free or reduced childcare?
Yeah, I don't really think it has anything to do with your visa, or because I've had families from all over the world be able to take advantage. So yes.
Okay. There's another question or kind of maybe if you know of any schools, either yours or around, that his son and daughter are in the autism spectrum. Do you know to help students that identify with the spectrum, or do you know of schools that are around that can help?
So the best, if there, it depends where on the spectrum, because right now I do have a child who has cerebral palsy and has huge delays. But with our guidance, mom was able to get him care during school, during daycare hours. And for her, it was very important for her child to come to the center to be able to socialize. Now that we are group care, so we cannot provide that one-on-one. It depends on the child and how much attention they need. But the school district, I would say Clover School District would be the best option, depending. We've had children on the autistic spectrum too that have come to UV, but I think their needs would be best met if they go to the school district, because they can get all the services that they need on site. With us, the parent has to actually come and pick up the child and take the child to get the services, or they have to go to Clover. Another thing that we've done in the past too is where the child has gone to Clover in a special program in the mornings, and then they were bused to UV, and one of the admin people, either myself or Jennifer, the center coordinator, we would walk to the Sepulveda site and take the child from the bus and bring them to the classroom. So we've also have done that in the past.
Thank you, Nikki. Any other questions for Nikki? You have her here. She's the director of UV. Anything that you want to ask that you're maybe concerned about? Because I know our children are, one of the main concerns, along with the money portion, right, of how we're going to pay for school, but childcare and just what comes with it. Anyone else have any questions? You can either unmute yourself and ask your question.
So one other thing I can also think of is when you get qualified for your contract hours, let's say that your wife or your husband or your partner doesn't have a job, I think they can qualify for about 6 hours a day if your partner or spouse is looking for a job. But then when they find a job, or they also register at a junior college and you're going to UCLA, you can get full care for the amount of the duration that we're open. That's like from 8 to 5:15.
Thank you. And we do have another question on the chat. This childcare is for children younger than 5 years old, right? And
yes.
Yes.
So if they're kindergarten ready, if they turn 5 before September 1st of this year, for example, they should be registered in kindergarten. Our license only goes up to 6.
Yeah. And we are going to be covering, other institutions that are around the University Village and just housing in a segment that Nancy's going to cover right after this. So if you have children that are, 6 and up, we are going to have a segment with Nancy to cover where you can place your children, because there's other schools, right? Clover is literally right in front on Sepulveda side on that area. So it's literally walking distance to go to Clover. But other than that, any other questions for Nikki?
Any enrollment questions? Because I know that's always the people always have questions about that. I hope I explained it.
Yeah. And
Clearly.
you're more than welcome, Nikki, to put your email on the chat if you'd like,
Sure.
in case anyone wants like a more one-on-one. And like Nikki said, she's open to tours. She's open to you asking these questions in a private setting. So please take advantage, because this is one of the biggest concerns that we have. I know it was my concern. It's like, where on earth is Jade gonna go? Like, I didn't know. I got accepted to UCLA, but where am I gonna put my kid? So it's really good to have her here, and please take advantage. Yeah.
As I said, don't give up. I've had students that hadn't filled out the application and they just picked up the phone and called me and said, I just got accepted to UCLA. I have a 3-year-old child. I don't know what to do. And I've said, come in, because I have 3-year-old spots. So you don't know until you try. And that's, my biggest advice to you is just fill out the application. Even if it's a last minute thing, give us a call. If there are, spots can open up any minute. So.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Nikki. You gave us a lot of information, and yes, a lot of more questions will come up as soon as y'all, if y'all apply and get accepted to UCLA. And again, you already have her information. She does have it on the chat, so just make sure you save that. And Nikki, thank you so much for being here with us today on the Saturday.
It was nice seeing you. And please email me if you remember something later on. I'm happy to help in any capacity I can.
Thank you, Nikki. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Awesome. So that was amazing, just because we had the director here asking these questions. And this is something that is very popular with our parenting students, is knowing about childcare. And what school, where do I put my child? I'm transitioning or moving over to UCLA. Like, where can I, place my child? So I do want to go ahead and hand it over to Nancy. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, because we do have a special portion for what other schools are around, our housing area. And I'll go ahead and hand it over to Nancy.
Hi, everyone. So I want to just go over when I transferred to UCLA, my son was 7. So I didn't, I couldn't put him in childcare at the University Village. So I want to talk about like the local elementaries. There is Clover is the closest school. It is a public school. And that's kind of just where I learned that that's just where I put my child. I really wasn't familiar or didn't understand that there are a lot of other schools around here that we can also put our children in. And for like elementary, there's also the Citizens of the World Mar Vista Charter School, which is also, it has like the same curriculum, but they have an emphasis on social justice and social emotional learning. There's also, for middle schools, there's on the Saltel side across the street, there's a Daniel Webster Middle School, which also I want to mention that the Citizens of the World Mar Vista Charter School, they also have a 6th to 8th grade, which is their middle school, which is on the Webster campus. And then also the local high schools here are like the Venice High School. And then also I want to, I thought I added it here, I didn't. I also want to mention that there's also the UCLA Lab School, which is on campus, which we can also apply and put our children in. It goes from pre-K to 6th grade. And they do have a tuition. It's almost like a college tuition, but they do also offer scholarships. So a lot of our kids go to either Clover, to Citizens of the World, to the UCLA Lab School. There's also a lot of us whose children go to the UCLA tie-in schools, which are like these together in education neighborhood schools. They're kind of spread out through kind of closer to like Santa Monica, and we just have to apply to them. And here, and I hope you can see that there's, for the blue schools, it has like Brockton Avenue Elementary School, the Norris Theory Elementary School, Emerson Community Charter Middle School, which is a middle school in Westwood, and then also like the University High School. That's a charter high school. And then over here are the gold schools, which are more Beethoven Street Elementary, Brad Dog Drive Elementary, Broadway Elementary, Mark Twain Middle School, Venice High School. There's just a lot of choices for us, for our kids that are, are older than 5 years old. And we can also, for my son, he went to Clover at first, and it's pretty much a traditional public school, but we found out about this other, the Mar Vista Center, or the Mar Vista Charter School, and we like that better. So a lot of us have our kids all over the place, but there are just a lot of options. And then right now, so then once with this, do we have any? I'm gonna pass it on back to Perla.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nancy, for letting us know, because I know that a lot of us don't have, children under the age of 5. We have teenagers, we have children that are older. So this is always good to know, because again, that's another one of our concerns. That's one of the main things. It's like, where is my child going to go to school? So thank you so much for covering this segment. I see the chat. Awesome. So Brooke is giving advice. You babysat kids when they were younger that went to UCLA Lab School. So yeah, so UES is another school that Brooke is recommending, in case you want another place to place your children. And with that being said, let me go ahead and start resharing. Real quick, hold on. We are at the end of our webinar, and I do want to let you know that we do have another raffle, and we also wanted to share a couple of words with you all regarding what this means to us and just you all being here. I do hope that you learned a lot and that you met other people here that are just like you with children and are parenting students. So that's one thing I recommend, is start networking now. If you see, someone that you're like, oh, I want to link up with this person to talk about so-and-so, get our information, because this is, again, word of mouth is powerful. And then just building community already, because if some of you are going to be applying to UCLA, you might see some of the faces here later on in your road, in your pathway to higher ed. So it's always good to start building community. And I do want to give it up to our raffle to see who our winner is, and then we'll close it off with some last minute reflection on what we experienced today.
Thank you, Brenda. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we could do the last raffle of the day. I just want to say thank you, everybody, for participating so far. This has been an amazing webinar, and I'm sorry if you don't get chosen for the raffle. Just attend all of our other webinars, and I'm sure we're going to be doing way more. Okay, that was close. Thank you so much to our second winner. I will go ahead and private message you. Once again, thank you everybody for participating, and have an amazing day. We're going to go ahead and end with our closing.
Thank you so much, Paola, for being here and helping us with our raffle. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again and just say thank you so much on behalf of myself. This is literally a full circle, so I'm going to try not to cry, because I started off as a scholar. They didn't have parenting site when I was a scholar. I would just go like on a Saturday. I would get there like really early, because we would used to have like these Saturday academies, and I would be there super early, and it wouldn't end till like past 6:30 in the afternoon. I was there all day. But then when I transferred to UCLA, I helped Cherry coordinate the first parenting site. So that in itself, as a peer advisor, so now I'm a coordinator, and I'm just really happy that I was able to help coordinate this site this year, this webinar. So I'm really happy to have you all here. My intentionality has always been to just help other parenting students, because we can do it. I think that we are one of the baddest, and I'm not gonna cuss, but we are one of the baddest students out there is a parenting student. We hustle, we do what we gotta do. Like we said, there's no other choice, right? Because we have a little, like my Jade is like always staring at me. This is why, like, she knows about school. She can tell you about UCLA and all these places. But it's because of opportunities and programs like this that opened my eyes, that said you could do it as a mom with your child. So that's my intentionality with this today, and I really hope that all of you got something out of this and that you all go back to your campuses y que le echen ganas, like put everything you got into it, because this can be you. We're giving you the resources, we're giving you the tools, but at the end of the day, it's what are you going to do with them? How are you going to use them? Because I can tell you how I did it. Zuleika can tell you how she did it, tell you about these resources, but are you going to use them? Are you going to knock on those doors? Are you going to advocate for yourself? So I really do hope that that's what you got from today. And I just want to go ahead and pass it on to the rest of the committee, because I know we all are super excited that you all were here, and just grateful.
I can go next. I just want to say that thank you everyone for coming through on a Saturday. I was a CCCP mentee, and it means a lot to me to be able to be here. Perla was a peer advisor when I did it, and I was so scared and nervous, and I took in all this information, and for a moment I did not know what to do with it. It still seems so unlikely that I could be here, that I can transfer, and that I can do it as a mom and as a non-traditional student, older. But CCCP was always here for me to motivate me and to let me know that I could. And they became my support system. And now that I've been working here with CCCP for the last 2 years, I'm so grateful to be able to do this again and to work with other parenting students and inform them that they can do it too. And if anything, it's like, I know that work can do it. For some of us, it just may take longer. For me, it took so long, 20 years in community college. And for some of us, it can take longer, but and I just suggest that we don't compare our journeys to others. And that if we want it, even if it'll take another year, you can get it and we can get to where we want to get. So thank you everyone for being here.
I can go ahead and go next. Or Zuleika, whichever one.
Okay. Yeah, oh man, Nancy, what you said just really hit home. I always compared myself to other people. I always thought of it as a race, and you shouldn't. Everyone's journey is different, like 100%. Everyone's journey is different. Like for example, for myself, it took me 7 years just to transfer to UCLA, and it's different for everybody, right? I know people who transferred within 2 years. And it's just crazy because we should not compare ourselves. But as someone who unfortunately was not aware of triple CP, which I really wish I was, for my journey was very difficult through community college because I didn't have those resources. And I wish I knew about CCCP because the way that they empower you is so amazing. Like I've never felt so empowered as a parenting student until I joined CCCP while I was at UCLA, because I wasn't even aware that they existed. And knowing that they exist and knowing all of the resources that they give, it offers me an opportunity to not only learn more, but also give back to my community of parenting students. Learning how to speak up for myself was because of, CCCP, because I was able to see people like myself going to getting their master's, getting their PhD. And I was like, well, if they can do it, then I can also do it, right? And I think that's what we need to see, and that's what we are doing, right? We're setting the stage for other parenting students who are coming before us, and it's just an amazing and empowering feeling to be here, share space with all of you, and you are all taking the first step to your higher education, to really changing the lives of your children. And just like Perla said, like my daughter does the UCLA chant. Sometimes she'll be like, UCLA, go, go, go. And I'm like, what? Like, where did you learn that? And it's because she sees, right? She sees everything that I've gone through, and she sees other parents as well. because we are a community. And before I ramble, just thank you everyone for being here and just sharing space.
And I'll go next. Hearing Suleika and Nancy talk, because they were my femtors for CCCP 2019, like, it's like really surreal feeling for me. Like, I didn't think I would graduate high school. I was a high school dropout. I was a teen mom, like, and I never thought in a million years that I would graduate high school. And, you know, there are not enough words to explain how CCCP has transformed my life. Like, from going to not thinking I was going to graduate high school to then starting, like, being able to muster up the courage to start community college, and then being at community college and like somebody telling me like, oh, you know, like, there's this program at UCLA, and I'm like, what? Like, I never thought that I would apply to, I thought I was just going to go for my associates, you know, like I thought I was going to go for my associates and that was going to be it. And no, it was not it. And I did CCCP and I found out that I had a dream that was much bigger than anything I could have ever imagined, you know, to now being at UCLA. I got accepted to every single university I applied to, you know, to being told your whole life that you're basically worthless and then finding out that you're not. And the CCCP empowering you and making you realize that you're worth so much more, you know, because I'm 28 and I have 2 children and I'm alone and I'm single and I'm doing it. And not only am I at UCLA, I'm also a Mcnair scholar. You know, I'm doing research. I'm preparing for my PhD applications for this December, you know. It's like, who would have thought that this high school dropout, that this teen mom would be applying for a PhD now? And I'm applying to Harvard and Yale, and that's all because of CCCP. So I hope that you guys all take all of this today and that you really welcome and let CCCP embrace you, because that's what CCCP does. It's not that you have to come look for us, it's that we're gonna be looking for you, you know? We're here to take care of you and we're here to help you, like, and just, you know, let yourself be helped because you deserve it. You deserve to be cared for and you deserve to be given your flowers, because we deserve to live a life that not only we deserve, but our children do too. So congratulations to all of you. I hope that you guys continue to kick ass in your classes, because you guys have been doing shit online for like, what is it, a fucking year? Like, so I hope that you're all proud of yourselves, and just know that I was in your shoes a very short time ago, and you're gonna be here too, and we're here waiting for you.
Thank you, Alicia. And it's hard to follow that. But thank you for sharing your heart and your passion and just who you are, and the rest of our panelists and the rest of the planning committee. It's really been an honor to work and to make this day possible. So I am just, you know, really inspired, and y'all motivate me because y'all are amazing and doing great things. And just to let y'all know, like, today was like the who's who of all like the movers and shakers and doers, like, trust, like the work Suleika has done on the campus, which was huge, right? Being the transfer rep at UCLA, like advocating at the UC level, like our keynote speaker, like Alicia, Nancy, like everyone, right? Everyone is just handling it and doing so great. And this just shows you that you can do it too. You know, all of our folks started at the community college and got to the community college at whatever point they got to in their lives, right? And once you kind of get plugged into the appropriate support, the appropriate resources, and you really learn to advocate for yourself and kind of build that confidence, personal confidence, and then also like academic confidence. Like, you can do this. Like, you can do this. Like, y'all got this. And there's so many more other examples and testimonies of folks that have gone through this process and have navigated. And the beautiful thing about CCP and the folks that are connected with our office, it's like, they're not doing it just for them. They're not doing it just for their own immediate families or like, no, we are really trying to break down walls, break down doors, and really be trailblazers for the future generation, for the future group of scholars, right? To really institutionalize some of these resources that need to be institutionalized for students. So it's not the same work and challenges every cycle of incoming transfers, right? There's a legacy that's being left behind by these amazing folks. And I just welcome you all again to CCP. I welcome you to the Scholars Program. We're here to support you. We're here to be a resource to you. We shared a lot of info today. We'll follow up to make sure that you got all the links and all the things. But I just really appreciate everyone that joined us today. US students, our speakers, our panelists, everyone all around. Today was just really beautiful. And it's really an honor to be here and have shared space with y'all today.
Thank you so much to the committee. Thank you to every single one of you that attended. You're doing something, and we can tell because you're here today getting all this information. So I leave you with thank you. Go back, hustle up. We will see you very soon, because y'all, if you're all scholars, you're gonna be seeing us definitely. But we got this, you got this, and have a wonderful rest of your Saturday. And I will see you soon, very soon.
Yeah, and I also shout out to any of the CCP staff that's still in the house. If you want to share a few words, Blanca, Gabby, any of our peer advisors.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess I can go really fast. I know it's Saturday, so I'm sure all of you have probably plans to do anything today, but so I'm not going to keep you any longer. Just want to say congratulations for participating in this amazing and empowering and powerful webinar. It was the first one of the series, so congratulations to the committee. You did an amazing job. And just like everyone already said, this is your community and we're here for you. And once you're part of CCCP, you're part of CCCP forever. So this is not, a goodbye. This is a see you soon. And this is the beginning of your journey. So congratulations and welcome to the CCCP family.
Yes, I just want to thank the committee, the webinar committee, because this was an amazing webinar with, a lot of information and very detailed. I learned so much from all of you. Even, as Perla said, I didn't have, when I joined CCCP, they didn't have the parenting, program, but with Perla, we participated, with Cherry, and we worked together, Perla. And, even though today I got more information that I didn't have that I know I can, share with other parenting students. This was amazing. Thank you to, the students that participated too, because, you have the resources, as everyone said, just, use them. And I speak English as a second language. And when I was at community college, I didn't think that UCLA was, even that it was, my dream school. I thought that it was not for me. But when I joined CCCP, it gave me the tools on how to navigate and the resources on how to navigate, the system to transfer. And yes, sí se puede, because I, graduated from there. So you can do it and go for it. Thank you all. Thank you all for participating.
Once again, thank you all for being here, and have a great Saturday. This was amazing. This made my Saturday. So have a great day. Thank you all. And fill out the survey. We put the survey on the chat.
Yes, thank you, everyone. And also feel free to unmute yourself if you want to say goodbye or put it in the chat. We just really appreciate you all.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. No.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Gabby.
Bye. It was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Okay, take care.
Thank you, Gabby.
Bye.
Bye. Tim, Lily, Keon, did you have questions?